Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wench Bench, where friends sit and talk about fabulous fictional females and how their stories have influenced us throughout our lives. My name, as always, and will not change, is Fonda.
And my name is Alison.
Today, Alison is going to be talking about Tara and Jessica from True Blood for our part 2. If you haven't listened to part 1 has all the world explanation stuff where we talk about monster fucking. So I recommend, if you want to watch this one and you know nothing about True Blood, that would probably be a good place to start. If you don't care, keep on listening. And if you have an understanding of the world already, then you're good to go.
Yeah. This one is going to be probably substantially less horny.
Thank you.
Just so you know, but also you're not off the hook.
No?
Because
why?
At the very top of this episode, there, for anybody who has seen True Blood, Tara, her story has a lot of very heavy things in it. So in this episode, there will be mentions of violence against women and sexual assault as well. And so that is something that I'm not going to be focusing on it a lot. I'll be making mentions of it, but if that's something that would be triggering to you as a listener, you can always skip ahead to just listening to Jessica's, or just skip the episode entirely. But I wanted to give that heads up at the top. This is gonna have some heavier content in it, because it's a big part of her story and I can't just skip past it, as well as discussions of alcoholism. And yeah, those are just two of the more triggering things.
Good to know. I'll leave it in the episode descriptions for people as well.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so
good job, future us.
So we are going to start with Tara. Tara Thornton is played by Rutina Wesley, and she is one of the main characters of True Blood and is Sookie's best friend.
How nice.
She is one of the characters that I believe the show failed the most.
Oh.
Yeah. Of everyone aside from perhaps Sookie, I felt like she really deserved a happy ending. And it was taken from her unceremoniously and in a very bad way.
I see.
Also, being one of the only people of color in a leading role in the show, and taking into account how she was treated, it is a very glaring point of criticism for many fans of the show.
Okay.
Because as the show ages, it gets just worse and worse. It was bad at the time, and it's even
still
more
shitty.
so now.
Okay.
Yeah. But even through all... You have been warned. But even through all of that, I love Tara as a character. Ooh. I think she has been acted with depth and complexity in a way that I did not fully grasp when I first watched the show. I just didn't really get her character, and watching it through again with more knowledge of harmful tropes and the treatment of Black women in media, and with just more life experience than I had when I was a teenager, I find myself able to empathize and understand her character a lot more, and to see where that character is coming from, instead of just thinking, oh, she's just an angry Black lady, which is a very not good trope that she unfortunately does fall into.
Oh.
But there's more to her than that, and I am excited to talk about the good sides of her character too.
Yay!
Because I do love her so much. She is such an interesting character. Just so bittersweet with her ending and everything, which we're not going to talk about the ending yet. We are going to start at the beginning.
The beginning.
The beginning. Tara's early life was not a great one. Her father was abusive and then left her mother, and her mother turned to alcohol as a way to cope, but she also began abusing Tara, not more emotionally than physically.
Oh, okay.
But there was some like allusions to physical abuse as well. She spent much of her time at the Stackhouse residence, and for a long time she actually had a huge crush on Jason, Sookie's brother.
Oh.
Which is adorable. She grew up to be a confident and outspoken woman who takes no shit from anyone. She can be quite self-centered and would regularly complain about how hard her life is, which, yeah, it was pretty shit. And it just kept getting worse. And it's so sad. So she deserved to complain, and I will fight anybody who said she didn't. This, coupled with her headstrong nature, made it difficult for her to maintain a job until she started bartending at Merlotte's. As I mentioned, I remembered kind of being like annoyed on my first watch with her because she was just like constantly complaining, but I think that with better handling and even giving more time to be focused on Tara, she wouldn't have come off so aggressive necessarily. And I don't even want to use that word because that's also like tied in like a bunch of negative connotations. But I think had we gotten a little bit more of a chance to get to know her within the first season and to understand why she was the way that she was, it wouldn't have been so stark comparing her to Sookie, the white savior, perfect angel that she was in the first season kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But having seen the show and then going back, knowing the history of her character, completely changes the story, completely changes like your outlook on who she is. So it's unfortunate. Definitely could have been better storytelling there.
850%.
Yeah. Maybe just a couple people of color or women in the writing room would have helped. Just a bit. But this actress, I've seen a bunch of interviews with this actress, and she is amazing. She loved her chance to be on the show and to get to portray Tara. And she brought so much to that role. I think,
good.
Yeah, I think they did a good job I think it could have been worse.
Okay.
If somebody wasn't willing to be like, oh, hey, I think we should do this instead. I think it definitely could have been worse. One of the people who has always been there for Tara is her cousin Lafayette, who I had mentioned in the last episode as well. He is incredible and queer as fuck. He also unfortunately goes through a lot, including a barrier gaze relationship where his boyfriend dies, but actually he's the one who kills his boyfriend because of supernatural bullshit. He has to kill his boyfriend, and it's extremely sad.
What?
But Lafayette, yeah, it was a very upsetting arc. His boyfriend was a brujo. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Brujo or bruja?
I think bruja.
The worst. Bruja?
I think that's, I feel like that's, I've heard it's something said bruja, so I feel like that, is it?
Yeah, he's, I believe he's of Mexican descent in the show.
Oh, okay.
But his boyfriend's name, it was Jesus, and they were super sweet, and Jesus helped Lafayette to discover and embrace his natural medium powers because he is an incredibly talented medium and can communicate and channel dead people, which is super cool.
Oh.
He's also technically a drug dealer.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's compared to all the other shitty things people in this show do, drug dealing is like the least of my worries.
Yep.
And he is a cook at Merlot, so him and Tara get to work together quite a bit. I'm happy to say Lafayette does get a happy ending for anybody who's curious. He finds a very nice boyfriend, and they kind of help each other move on with their lives, and it's very sweet.
Aww, that's good.
Yeah. And yes, he also falls into another negative person of color trope known as the magical Negro trope, which I think a lot of people who are into like film and stuff will recognize that. It's good examples are in The Shining, where there's just a black person who has some sort of mystical understanding, some sort of like sage, wise beyond their years, knowledge of the world, and they help all of their white co-star or all of their white main characters to understand their world better. But he does it with such fucking style, and I love him so much. And him and Tara's relationship is just so sweet. Like they really understand each other. He knows what she's been through in her life, and he supports her, and she does her best to support him. And her mom is in the show a lot as well. And so Lafayette also works to make sure that Tara is not sacrificing her own happiness in order to help her mother, because that's a big thing that Tara struggles with throughout the entire show, is trying to heal from that abusive relationship and from that beginning of her life where she was dealing so much with having to parent her mother and having to basically try and work past all of the violence in her home. But her and Lafayette are just, they're so cute together. Like, he's always there for her, like, drop of a hat. He's just so sweet. The first thing we're going to talk about is her first boyfriend, whose name is Eggs.
Eggs?
Eggs.
Eggs. Okay, I'm just...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
just
it's Eggs.
checking I heard the pronunciation correctly. We're recording remotely, so, you know, sometimes I just need to double check it's not my earbuds that are mishearing something.
No, his name is Eggs. Like the carton.
Okay. I like it.
So, season 2 was a very big season for Tara, which was nice because it came right after season 1. We didn't get a lot of character in that one. So the second one, we get her a lot more. She was a major part of the Marianne storyline. She is the Maynard villain who gradually possesses the people of Bon Temps to make them highly sexual and violent. In the beginning, a man named Eggs shows up at the bar, and he is like immediately very interested in Tara, and Tara is like such a bitch. And he's just like, oh, I like this.
Oh,
like, you could talk mean to me all day long if you want. So he's
into it.
And I think
I see,
because he's also black, and so I think he can like. I think that was their connections, that there are not a lot of people of color in Bon Temps, and so he shows up, and it kind of is that connection of, I understand that you are a fish out of water, and like they kind of have that ability to connect in a different way than Tara has been able to connect with anybody before. And so he like kind of fights his way through her hard exterior and convinces her to start seeing him. And they end up falling in love pretty quickly. Unfortunately, Marianne is feeding off of their energy and chemistry, and she uses her powers to begin to twist it to make it more violent and toxic. They all three of them begin living together in Sookie's house while she is away on a mission with the vampires. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
And even with all the darkness, even with all like the bad stuff, it is so nice in this. It was so nice in this season to get to see Tara be like flirty and friendly and have this like relationship that she really liked, and have this guy really like her, because it always seemed like all of her sexual experiences were just kind of fuck buddies. Like it wasn't anything serious, and to see her actually have an emotional connection with somebody was really nice to see. After a lot of very creepy cult-like stuff that happens, Mary Ann is eventually killed, releasing the citizens of Bontemps, as well as Tara and Eggs from her control.
Oh, yay!
Yay!
Progress!
After this, Eggs is going through a lot of emotional problems because he's starting to realize that he has a lot of blackouts, a lot of memories that are missing from his time with Mary Ann. And so he goes to see Sookie, who he knows has magic powers, and Sookie helps him to remember all of those times when he was blacked out. Mary Ann was actually using him to kill people in like ritual sacrifice ways. Yeah.
No!
Yes, and it's so sad. And overcome by guilt, he tries to go turn himself in to Jason, who is now a cop. And he has a big hunting knife. And Jason panics and shoots him. Yeah. A story
Panics how? Like I'm a little confused.
He thinks that Eggs is going to hurt him because Eggs is a very large black man with a knife. Does he know
Eggs?
He's met him. Yeah, he's met him a few times, but Eggs is in an emotionally distraught state, and instead of taking a second to maybe be like, hey, dude, I've met a couple times, like, put the knife down, like, let's talk, he just gets a little trigger happy, and it's extremely upsetting. Tara comes running out of the bar. This all happens outside of Merlotte's. She comes running out of the bar and just cries and just like screams. It's so fucking sad.
Oh no.
And in this whole situation, I think he's the sheriff at the time, but I can't remember. His name is Andy Belfleur. He's another character in the show. Okay. Not super important. He takes the blame / credit for killing Eggs because he doesn't want Jason to get in trouble. And then the rest of the town is like, oh, hey, Andy Belfleur, you killed the guy who's been murdering people. And he's treated like a hero. All while Tara is there having to hear these people talk about the man who, as far as she knows, killed the man she loves, like he did a good thing. And this whole storyline, with everything that's happened in the past couple years, is very difficult and has not aged particularly well. It's not looked at a good thing. The show does not look at Andy like, oh, this is a great thing. But it's not great.
Yeah, even if the show shows that what's happening is bad, the fact is it's still a storyline that was in it that was not handled with care at all, it sounds like, in my opinion, as someone who did not watch.
No. And it was just so sad. Because, like, Tara wanted to help him wanted to help Eggs get over this and, like, get over all of his memory loss and everything. Mm-hmm. And she wanted to help him improve and to feel better. And it didn't work out, and it was really unfortunate. And then you just feel so bad because, yeah, like, these townsfolk are supposed to at least kind of care about Tara, and they're sitting there talking about the man that she loved like he was some psychotic murderer, and it was just so sad.
Does Sookie help? I guess Sookie might not know the memories he had gotten back, or did she? Because isn't that someone that could be like, hey, this person was being used?
It all kind of happened really fast.
Oh, okay.
It all sort of happened really fast, and they all knew. It's like yeah, like he did do that, but it was an unfortunate handling of the situation. Tara eventually finds out the truth and gets very upset at Jason, obviously, and then she finds out that the whole reason Eggs was having this sort of break was because of Sookie, and it causes a very intense fight between her and her friend.
Okay. Oh.
But luckily, Lafayette manages to break up their fight, and they sort of work towards reconciliation after that, because Sookie was just doing what she thought was going to be best for both Tara and Eggs. She thought, I can help. I can make him feel better. But
she didn't think that what she was going to show him was going to result in the tragedy that came after.
Yeah. So that was very sad. And we're going to get sadder.
No!
It's so hard to talk about because her story is so upsetting and it's so sad, but the fact that she survives through all of this is just a testament to the character's strength and resilience. So after all of this, Tara is clearly struggling with depression. She's attempted suicide at one point. This destructive pattern leads her to begin a very toxic and frightening relationship with a vampire named Franklin. Okay. He turns out to be a deranged man who is working for Russell Edgington. One of the other major villains of the show.
Okay, yes. I was like, who's this?
Yes.
Who's this dude?
Yeah.
Okay.
Eventually, Tara tries to kind of leave, sort of, and be like, whoa, we need to kind of step it back a little bit. And he kidnaps her and takes her to Russell Edgington's mansion, where he ties her to a bed and keeps her there.
No.
Assaults her and does horrible things to Tara, and she's there, and Bill sees her. This is one of the first hints at Bill being a not very good, one of the big hints at Bill not being a very good fucking guy, because Bill sees her there and she's like, fucking help me, and he's like, I can't, because he's in the middle of his own fucking shit. And so he just basically leaves her to be like raped and abused by this psycho.
What the?
It's so upsetting.
Yeah, I'm trying Franklin, so hard to keep my voice down, but I'm clenching my jaw very tightly.
Mm-hmm. So on top of everything, Russell also wants to turn her into his unwilling vampire bride, so he can keep her forever, which is horrifying and terrible. But Tara, being the strong, incredible human being that she is, manages to convince him that she's on board with this plan. So she pretends like, yeah, this is great, but you have to untie me so that we can make love and I can drink your blood and we can have a nice night together. And she manages to convince him of that, which I cannot even imagine having to try and do that. Like, I know. I cannot put my brain there.
I don't even want to talk about it because I just
He lets her out of her restraints, and after he falls asleep, she smashes his fucking head in with a mace. Just destroys it, and she manages to escape, which is incredible. And I was like, her strength. I don't even know how. I don't even know how. She's so incredibly strong in this moment. But
she also must be still terrified.
Terrified. Absolutely.
The fact that
horrified.
she chose to think of a way that would help her survive, even if parts of it were not welcomed at all. Like, I can't even imagine being like, I'm going to put myself through this situation to pretend I am a willing participant when I am not, all because I know it is the best chance I have to wreck this guy and leave in some semblance of like wholeness. Like, I can't even imagine. I just like,
yeah.
I couldn't. I know I could not. I know I could not. It's so
upsetting. But Sookie and Alcide are actually kind of have a part in her escape as well, but she clearly is the one who took agency and did what she saved herself in order to survive.
So I am, as much as I'm like incredibly upset that Bill did fucking nothing, there's also something to be said about the unfortunate trope that gets used of like the white savior.
Yeah.
So I feel like even though for her she was genuinely being like, hey, you are a person that's here and you could assist me and help me, he didn't, which I can only imagine, like, just like the lack of like then faith you have in the next person, right? Like, I can only imagine if she ever saw Bill again, she's just probably not gonna like,
oh yeah,
give two shits.
Guess what she does?
She
helps Sookie save Bill, because Bill gets his ass in fucking trouble with Russell and his own maker, and Sookie wants to go fucking save him, and because Tara loves Sookie so much, she helps to save Bill, because Tara is an incredible fucking person.
Just out of curiosity, does Sookie not know that Bill didn't fucking do anything to help her?
She does, but this is the point where like Sookie and Bill aren't really like together. They've broken up now, and Bill's kind of trying to force Sookie away because he's having this weird like dark Bill moment. But she still wants to save him because it's fucked up and it's not okay. And this is a huge point of contention between Sookie and Tara. And it's sad, and it's very sad. After all of this is the season where Sookie ends up disappearing to the fairy realm. After all of this, after saving Bill, after saving herself, Tara leaves Bontemps. She goes to, she ends up traveling to New Orleans, where she becomes an MMA fighter, and she gets a girlfriend, and she should have just fucking stayed in New Orleans.
Why did she leave? Why did she leave? That sounds like the dream. It sounds like she was living a great, wonderful life that she deserved, clearly.
Because she was dragged back into the drama of Bontemps.
By who?
By Sookie, and by her mom, and by Lafayette, and by all of these people who she is like, despite everything that's happened to her, despite everything that these people have done to her, she cares about them and she still wants to help them, and it's so sad. And so she's dragged back from her super hot girlfriend, who we first meet while they're literally beating the shit out of each other in a fucking cage match while they're fighting each other, and then they're actually girlfriends.
Wow.
And it's adorable, and I love it.
It sounds like they did her. I'm just like, we're not even done talking about her. I know we're not, but I just want to say I feel like she was done very dirty. Character-wise, she's done so dirty. Like, I hope she was treated so much better in the novels. I
hope so, and I hope she. I don't even know if Tara is. And don't take my word for this, because I don't even know. I think Tara was like an amalgamation. Like, she wasn't actually like a character from the books.
Oh.
Which I don't know if that's better or worse.
Still, like, what? I just yeah. Dear writers of True Blood, tell me
be nicer.
The justification, because I don't see it.
I don't either. But yeah, so her relationship with Sookie is clearly a complicated one.
It doesn't sound really good.
It's not great. It's not great, but they're like tied together by like this bond of their youth and for growing up together. They both would do anything for each other, but they can't seem to set aside their own fucking problems and selfishness to support each other, mostly on the side of Sookie, which is one of the biggest pitfall. Like, another one of the problematic parts of Sookie's character is her complete, seemingly, like, lack of care for her supposed to be best friend. Especially in moments of trauma that Tara could really fucking use a friend. But the love and care is still there. Tara never could understand or support Sookie's desire to be with Bill or her inability to stay out of trouble, resulting in Tara's first death on the show, which could have been worse, I guess, because had they actually let her stay dead, it would have been the black character sacrificing themselves to save the white heroine, which is a very bad trope, which happens all the time. Is not good. Because Tara did save Sookie. She ended up literally taking a bullet for her. And in Sookie's desperate attempt to save her friend, Sookie and Lafayette decide to convince Pam, Eric's vampire progeny.
Okay.
The very crass one.
Okay.
That I love so much. They managed to convince Pam to change Tara into a vampire. The creature that Tara fucking hates and would have probably rather been dead than to be turned into a vampire against her will, once again having her fucking choice taken away from her. She chose to save Sookie. So it's like, at the same time, it's like, I didn't want Tara to die saving Sookie, but I also hate the idea that for a character who has had so much of her choices taken from her in all of these shows, it's like, here's another major life choice that we're just gonna rip away from you. But Tara thrives as a fucking vampire. She embraces herself and she finds her strength. She tells everybody to fuck off. Pam is an excellent influence on Tara because Pam doesn't give a fuck and she teaches Tara not to give a fuck. And she's like, no, it's you and it's me. I am your maker. I am your most fucking important person. And
but what about her girlfriend?
Person. At this point, the girlfriend gone? She sent her girlfriend away for her girlfriend's own safety. So they broke up, which was very sad. But yeah, no, Pam was like, no, it's me and you, like, and there is that like intrinsic bond between a maker and their progeny that is like, if a maker tells their vampire progeny to do something, they physically have to do it. If they fight it, they are in pain.
I don't like that.
It's super weird. It's rarely used, and it's usually used for the good of the progeny. Because there's an intense, deep connection that like would not necessarily be used for like bad things. Like a lot of times it's like, no, I need you to go like save yourself. It's like, okay, a lot of times Pam is like, do not make me make you do this, you fucking stubborn asshole. It's like, just leave for your own safety. And so it's very cute, and her and Pam end up getting together. They kiss and they fuck, and it's so cute, and I love them.
Can you tell me more how Tara accepted the vampire part of her new self? Yes. Was it something that she was suddenly in the show like, I'm okay with it? Or was it something where like the show at least showed us she had a struggle that she overcame but had self-acceptance?
This is the part where this is how like her and Pam grew to be so close as well, because Tara was so angry all the time, and Pam saw that and acknowledged that and was like, I get it, you're fucking angry, but like, let's channel that into like other ways. And so Tara started working at Fantasia. She started not only bartending, but she would like dance at Fantasia and like she would like flirt with all these people. And then one night a classmate or something of Tara's comes into the bar and sees Tara and is like, oh, like, you're a vampire now, and starts saying some like super racist shit. And Tara is gonna fucking throw down, and Pam stops her and is like, not in my bar. Like, don't you do this in my bar. And Tara gets pissed. But then later, Pam comes and gets her and takes her down into the dungeon of Fantasia, where her bully is chained to the wall. And Pam is like, I said not in my bar, but you could do it down here. Like, and Pam has like mind controlled this woman into being like, yes, please feed from me, Tara. And so Tara fucking drinks her blood like the fucking monster that she has become. And like, her and Pam bond over like eating this fucking racist bitch. Because Pam is like, she doesn't get to talk to you like that. Nobody gets to talk to you like that.
I mean, that's it. This is a very big power move, but can I just say, I don't know if I'd want to eat my mean bully. Like, okay, power move to her. Power move to her.
Power move to her. And so Pam does a lot of just like, yeah, like, it's like, this is your life now. You can either hate yourself and you can find a way to give yourself the true death, or you can use this as a second chance. A chance to be a person that you were always afraid to be, maybe. So before we talk about Tara's true death, because that happens,
why can't
we're gonna quickly.
Why? Just why? Can't we just? Alison, can you rewrite it and just say she's fine? Like, can we lie to our listeners?
I wish I could. I truly wish I could.
I think we could try.
I think if somebody were to rewrite this story, I don't think it's my story to tell. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So we're gonna quickly touch on Tara's mom, her relationship with her mom.
Okay.
Or her mom's name is Letty Mae. They also have a very complicated relationship. Her mother is extremely religious, and on top of the alcoholism, that made for a very bad combination. So a lot of times Letty Mae would say like, oh, there's a literal demon inside of me that's making me drink. If I just could exorcise this demon, then I'd be a better mom. And so she finds a lot of excuses and is quite manipulative that way.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. She would regularly re-traumatize Tara and put her through absolute hell, but Tara would keep coming back because she just, like, that's the kind of person she is. Like, she felt like some sort of responsibility to her mother. And a part of that is when we get a flashback in the final season of Tara as a child, kind of watching her mother and her father. Her father was very controlling of like money and was just generally an abusive piece of shit. And one day, after Tara's birthday of all days, her dad was beating her mom because Tara had stolen his gun. And he had thought that Letty Mae had stolen it. And so he was getting angry at her. And Tara was going to shoot him. As a small child, she was maybe like 8 or something. I can't remember exactly how old she was, but she had an absolute clear shot. She knew how the gun worked and she knew everything, and she decided not to shoot him. And I think a big part of Tara's guilt was, had I shot him, maybe her mom wouldn't have turned to alcoholism necessarily, because she got left and like all of these things. It's like, oh, maybe they would have gotten like a life insurance policy or something. Maybe they would have been better off. Maybe they wouldn't have been as poor. Maybe killing him was better than him leaving her mom, because him leaving Letty Mae was what like really drove her down that cycle, was him abandoning their family. Whereas had he died, that's a little different. So I think Tara often is like, I should have just shot him, and sort of that guilt is still there for her for a long time. And by the time Tara meets the true death at the beginning of season 7, she seems to have forgiven her mother for everything, which I do not fucking agree with. I think that this was a huge cop-out, and I do not think that Letty Mae deserved or earned forgiveness throughout the show. As much as I love the actress, the acting was incredible, the character, awesome, but you don't have to be a good character to have been well acted and well portrayed, and I do not think that the character deserved forgiveness. I also think that Tara, as far as her character story was going, was headed on a path to moving on from her past traumas. And that meant moving on from her mother as well. That didn't mean forgiving her mother. That meant actually cutting out the people in her life who were continually hurting her and abusing her.
Yeah.
And instead, she dies protecting her mom. Off screen. In between seasons.
Oh, no. No.
Yes.
No, excuse me. Why the fuck is that a good idea? That is never a good idea. You just fucking no, really.
Yeah, they were at a barbecue because of all the Hep V and stuff. There was this initiative to try and get people who had clean blood to act as like volunteers to feed vampires, which is a great idea. Letty Mae wanted to do this for Tara. And they were at this barbecue where everybody was going to meet and greet because the vampires would then protect the humans from Hep V vamps. So, like the vampire zombies is what they would be protected from. A bunch of vampire zombies attack everybody. There's a huge fight. And at the end of season 6, we see Tara fighting one of these monsters, one of these zombie monsters. And then season 7 comes around and Letty Mae is just covered in blood because Tara got staked by this other vampire, and it's just over. She just dies. And for the rest of the season, Letty Mae starts doing fucking V so that she can have hallucinations of Tara, leading her to this discovery that Tara was going to kill her dad, leading her to this memory of Tara feeling guilty for not killing her father. That is her whole fucking role in the last season, and it's bullshit, and it's garbage, and I fucking hate it.
Kind of say the fact that she got like in this, I don't know, she fucking boxed, did MMA, like maybe not box, but like there's mixed martial arts. I'm sure there's boxing involved, like kickboxing. There's tons of like, what you had described was a strong woman. And yes, she died once because of Sookie, but the fact that like until now, I didn't know her mom was in her life really. And then suddenly as someone who's never watched the show, this just seems like, why did they think this
was present, but not in a good way? It was always there.
So then why?
Because they don't understand relationships between fucking women or the idea of trauma and of somebody having the right to walk away from their family.
Yeah, or the right
Letty
to just
Mae
be like,
never fucking treated her like her daughter, and she kept being like, oh, like I never took care of you when you were younger, so I want to take care of you now by giving you my blood, blah blah blah. But then she was also super shitty to Lafayette for being gay, so she was fucking homophobic, and she was like took so long just to accept the fact that Tara was a fucking vampire. In fact, when Tara first got turned into a vampire, Letty Mae showed up at the bar because she's some fucking reverend's wife and was like, you're not my daughter anymore. She told her that because now she's a vampire, which goes against God. Letty Mae is a fucking asshole. She does not deserve a daughter as incredible and strong as Tara. She did not deserve to die
terrible. That's teaching people that it's okay to forgive anybody as soon as they give like any semblance of like a nicety, or like that they might look like they're trying. Like, it's great that she looked like she was trying, and maybe she could have become a better person. But the fact that this is near the end of season 6 and there's season 7, it's just like, this just sounds like a very rushed storyline that they didn't think about in advance or how to do anything with it properly, because shows like drama. So instead of being like, let's have the wonderful Tara just be fine, and like maybe she'll get into a fight in season 7, and like maybe there'll be some like hit or misses if she's fighting the zombie vampires, but she's a pan, and then it'll be fine. But no, I know nothing about this show much. Even though we did part
upsetting.
1 and this is part 2. But I feel like the best way I can describe it is cringe.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not good. I don't like it.
Is uncomfortable.
The show did Tara so fucking dirty. It's completely unfair the way that they ended her story, the way that they treated her character. She deserved to live more than like literally everybody else in the show. She deserved to find fucking happiness. She suffered so much. She lost the man that she loved. She was kidnapped and raped by a vampire. She was shot in the head by a crazy werewolf. She became a vampire and was taken to the research facility to be experimented on and tortured. Also, which I didn't touch on, but yeah, she was in that vampire concentration camp, as well as Pam was there. She deserves to be fucking happy.
Tara has gone through so much fucking shit. Like, so much.
She went through so much.
Why?
Wanted her.
Did they just decide anytime they didn't know who to do anything with, they'd just be like, oh, you know, Tara's a strong female character. She's already been through so much. Let's just keep putting her through so much. It's like, dude, no.
On top of everything, not 3 episodes after Tara apparently died, Alcide dies. So we never actually get a chance to witness Sookie, who is supposed to be her best fucking friend, mourning her, because it jumps immediately to Alcide. So not only does she die in a horrible way, the characters in the show do not even properly get a chance to mourn her loss. And it just seems like it doesn't fucking matter.
I don't like this. I don't like this.
But she's so incredible, and she's passionate, and she's fucking complicated, and she's intense and emotional and just raw and just absolute, like, powerful. Like, the actress has these incredible arms. Like, Tara is such a complex, fascinating character who I just wish had been handled better, because she fucking, both the actress and the character fucking deserved to get a chance to have a good ending for Tara. Even had she died in like a good way, I wouldn't have been as upset. It felt so anticlimactic, and it was so upsetting because they had made us care about her, and then they made it seem like it didn't matter that she was gone. And I love Tara so much. I love her. That's what I have to say about Tara.
Okay.
If you would like to take a break in the episode to pause and have a breather after that very intense moment, now is a good time. So Jessica's going to be a lot quicker. Jessica, also, we're going to get the negative parts of Jessica's character finished at the top, and then we're going to go into what's awesome about her character, which is a beautiful love story with a good boy.
Oh, it's a good boy.
It's a happy ending. He is actually a human, but he is the best boy.
Oh, I love a good boy. Thank God.
Of all of the male characters, he is genuinely the sweetest, kindest person, and I love him so much.
Does he treat Jessica so good?
He treats her so fucking well.
Oh, okay, I'm ready.
So so I want to promise a happy ending of this episode.
Okay, speed run, Alison. Get me to the happy ending.
Jessica Hamby, played by Deborah Ann Wall, who some might recognize from the Daredevil TV show. She was, I think, Karen Page.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
So we first meet Jessica on the night she is turned into a vampire. Oh. After killing another vampire to save Sookie, Bill is ordered to make one as a replacement. Until then, he had never been a maker since he hated being a vampire so much. Jessica seemed to have been kidnapped from a party, and she was about 17 years old when she was turned.
Oh, that's fucking hard. Oh, shit. You're still going through puberty and teenage drama.
Sure
and then now you're a vampire? What is this? Fucking Twilight?
Yes.
God dang it.
We're also this is where the bad part of her character comes in. Okay. She also happened to still be a virgin at the time that she was changed, which is something the show, for some reason, decided to focus on way too fucking much, and in a very bad way that, like, clearly shows that they do not understand fucking female anatomy. This is my least favorite part of her character.
Oh no.
And it actually has it has nothing to do with her portrayal and everything to do with, like, this deep misunderstanding of how the female body works. And if you're gonna go this hard on a thing, you should at least fucking know if you're right.
Okay, I'm ready to hear the pain.
Coupled with an archaic idea of what constitutes virginity, because I am generally not a fan of it as a concept because it was a horrible way to value a woman's body as the property of men. So virginity is bullshit. In the show, they pointed out every time they made a point to have this be a fact that every time Jessica has sex, she has to re-lose her virginity, which isn't a fucking thing. This means she has to re-break her hymen, which, quick biology lesson, you should not have to break your hymen every time you have sex. It is not a fucking barrier. It is a valve. Like, if you are properly lubricated and excited and you are having good, appropriate sex, it will pull away. Like, you push past it. It is not a fucking barrier to be broken. That's not how it fucking works. That's not how the female body works. But the show decided that every time Jessica wants to have sex, it has to start with pain. Because misogyny and disgusting fucking, like, some male idea of the concept of, oh, she's a virgin forever. It's fucking gross. And I hate it. And it's bad. I'm
frowning this entire time. I have nothing to say. I have no comment.
It's bad. It's not good. It happens. It's mentioned multiple times throughout the show, and it's fucking dumb. It's so dumb. And luckily, it happens, like, less and less. Like, it just isn't commented on later, but it's infuriating. I'm
not.
Yeah. I love Jessica so much. This aside, it is a very should not have been such a big part of her character, but it was, and so I had to talk about it, and I had to talk about how bullshit it was, because I'm pretty sure Nick is tired of hearing this fucking rant every time I watch the show, because I have it with him every time I watch the show. Because it's tough. Jessica's mortal life was very sheltered. Her family was religious and her father was abusive, but we moved past that pretty quick. She had a very hard time adjusting to her new life, and one night she actually convinced Sookie to take her to her old home, and Sookie was like, yeah, but you have to promise, like, you can't go inside, you can't go see them. Because she was so young, she didn't have great control of her impulses. Not only was she a young vampire, she was also a 17-year-old. And so if you can imagine the concept of a 17-year-old level of, like, life change and, like, hormones and all that in a person's brain, and then couple that with now super strength and a unquenchable thirst for blood. And we have Jessica, this little terror of a creature who I love. So she does end up obviously breaking her promise, and she crashes into the house, and she kind of not quite takes revenge on her family, but she wants to show her father, like, you can't hurt me anymore, basically. Luckily, though, Bill shows up and kind of mind wipes her whole family. He does his little glamour thing where he gets them to kind of forget what happened.
I don't like Bill still.
Bill's a dick. It takes him a long time to get to a point where I like Bill. Like, season 1 Bill is solid.
Okay.
Like 2 through like 5 is
season Kill Bill.
6 they're not great. Because he's not
Bill.
Good in those ones. Season no Bill. But he's an intriguing and interesting character to watch, but he is, like, every man in this show is toxic. Like, even Alcide, who I sang the praises of in the last episode, is also toxic as fuck. But, you know, everything gets blown out of proportion. He was the best option for Sookie, because Sookie kind of, I don't want to say she deserved a toxic man, but Sookie has her own toxicity, and Jessica deserved the good boy.
Yeah! So just take me to this good boy. I know we're talking about Jessica, but I just need to hear of something positive.
So this was kind of the beginning of a very sweet friendship between Jessica and Sookie.
Okay.
Sookie kind of acted a little bit almost like a surrogate mom. She helped a lot with Jessica and Bill's relationship because Bill resented the fact that he had to make Jessica. He never wanted to make one. He did not want to be a maker. He did not want any of this. And so he was kind of sloughing off that responsibility a lot. And so Jessica, after being ripped from her fucking family and brought into a life that she didn't want, is now, like, acting out. And so she's wearing, like, a lot of dark makeup and revealing clothes. And it's this really fun, like, rebellion stage, which I think most teens can understand, that desire to maybe break the mold a little bit. And so he pawns her off on Pam and Eric. And so she's, like, kind of dressing slutty and going a little bit crazy, and then Sookie's the one who convinces Bill. It's like, she's your responsibility, like, this is essentially your daughter. And once Bill kind of comes to terms with that, because he thinks he had his own daughters back when he was a human, and he's like, I should take better care of Jessica. And so he starts teaching her all the tricks of how to be a vampire, how to glamour, how to do all that stuff. And their relationship does become very parental, which is nice, because in some areas of the show, that maker-progeny relationship can become sexual, but I think they did a very good job at keeping it parental.
Okay, we have a win. We have a win so far.
Yeah, so that was really nice, and of all of the things that Bill did, Jessica stood by him. She was so loyal to Bill throughout the show, which, like, even through his, like, Billith phase, she is what grounded Bill and is what kept him from going, like, fully evil. To the point where, like, all of that, it's like she was able to bring him back. She was able to remind him of who he wanted to be, not necessarily who he was, but this person he wanted to be, which was a better person. And they have a very sweet relationship. So Jessica had 2 major love interests in the show.
Okay.
The first is Hoyt Fortenberry.
What a name.
The best boy.
What a name. Hoyt Fortenberry.
Hoyt Fortenberry. I love Hoyt so much.
Hoyt.
So sweet. Oh my god.
It just sounds like something you say when you're lifting something up and hoisting it to another person. Just like, Hoyt! Like, it doesn't sound like.
And Hoyt he's a freaking, like, he's a big dude. Like, he is, like, classic farm boy, like, southern good old boy, gentleman, that kind of stuff. He is sweet and kind and absolutely smitten with Jessica from the moment he sees her. We get, like, one of those smitten. We get one of those, like, classic rom-com moments where he comes into Merlotte's and Jessica's sitting there at the bar and she has like this soft lighting on her and her hair's in ringlets and she's in this pretty summer dress and he's done. He's done.
Love at first sight.
His mother is a huge gossip in the town and doesn't that a vampire has stolen her son from her. And so Jessica and his mom have a very bad relationship.
That's too bad.
Yeah, because Hoyt's quite a mama's boy, which is one of the larger missteps in their relationship early on.
Okay.
But things get worse because they have to break up and then they get together again later. Because you can't be happy from like season 1.
What?
It's not allowed.
Can we have a show break that trope soon?
I know.
I
know, right?
God dang it.
Hoyt truly loved her for who she was, vampire or not. She even cries in front of him, which is super disturbing because vampires cry blood. But he
Yes, I remember.
He's so sweet about it, and he's like,
does he wipe her tears away?
Does
he wipe her bloody tears away?
He makes her feel like beautiful and like who she is. And he was the first person that she had sex with, and like it's just, it was so cute, and like it was like the most like awkward first time, like it was on a couch. But it was cute, and like her fangs pop out because their fangs pop out like for a lot of reasons, but one being when they're horny, and her fangs pop out and she's just like, oh my god, and she's so embarrassed about it. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry, and he's like no, it's kind of hot, and like it's so cute, and they're so wholesome, and I love them so much.
Oh. Why do they break up? Why?
Oh, we'll get to it.
God damn
so
it.
obviously I am a Hoyt stan 100% forever and
Hoyt.
always.
Hoyt. Hoyt.
Unfortunately, the two met at a time when Jessica didn't even really know who she was yet.
Okay.
So she was still new to being a vampire. She was like 17, like her religious life, all of that, like trauma, all that stuff has happened. She's still exploring who she is, both like emotionally, mentally, sexually, like the whole fucking thing. She hasn't had a chance to live, and in the way that a lot of shows handle relationships, in a show kind of way, it's not like in a normal way where a couple can have these experiences and have a healthy communicative relationship where they grow together. They're like, no. Drama, they must grow apart and then they must come back together again because story.
I hate that. If you're a good couple from the get-go, and you got good communication, most likely, like, I'm just only basing this off of my small catch pool of IRL people that have really great relationships. You grow together, because if you don't grow together, that's why you break up. You don't break up so you can grow and then just be like, oh, we are made for each other, clearly, because
we've grown now and now we're gonna grow back together, which is fine. That can happen.
It can. You know, life experiences. There's tons of ways, but I'm just saying it doesn't have to be that all the time media. Nope.
Especially not back in the early 2000s. It's fine. Or not the early 2000s, but the 2010s. Yeah.
2010s?
Yeah.
What? That doesn't feel that long ago. I'm a product of my time.
Yes.
If I remember the 2010s as not being that long ago.
It was. So, as she began to explore the world and her new life as a vampire, she began wanting to rebel and experience and not be that good girl that she was always expected to be and always thought to be. And there is nothing quite as bad as sleeping with your boyfriend's best friend, Jason Stackhouse.
No!
Yes!
No!
Yes! So after a lot of drama and a lot of things, this ends up resulting in Hoyt asking to have her take his memories so that he can try and move on and start a life away from Bontemps and away from her, because seeing her hurts too much. Because even after everything that they've been through, after all of their relationship troubles, after everything, after her cheating on him, he still loves her, and he doesn't want to be there anymore because it hurts too much. He's such a good boy, and she does, and I'm like, it's so sad because like Jason's there too, because like Hoyt and Jason had this like, they've been friends since they were children.
Why did Jason let his friend's girlfriend fuck him?
Jason is a dumbass and will fuck anything. Like, Jason is a dumbass.
Does he have no thing in his brain that's like, this isn't a good idea?
You greatly overestimate his brain power. He is...
Does he have two brain cells?
So dumb. Is it the meme where he's got two brain cells? He doesn't have two brain cells to rub together, Jason. He's not bright. He's such a dumb boy.
Does he feel bad though? Does he feel really bad? Like genuinely feels bad.
Yeah, it's like the biggest regret of his character's like life. And so there's this very sad moment where the three of them are sitting in a booth, and they basically tell him, like, Jessica glamours him and like sends him away, and so he goes to work, like, I think in Alaska or something, and to like start his new life. And he doesn't remember Jason, and he doesn't remember Jessica, and they just part ways. And I
don't like this.
It's sad, but it's okay. He comes back, and it's fine. I'll get there.
Is it fine?
It's okay. Yes.
Is it?
It's excellent. It's so great. Jessica and Jason have a bit of an on-again, off-again thing for a while, but it really does end up turning into more of just a friendship between the two of them. Okay. Before we get to how her story ends, I want to talk a bit about this like sort of rebellion phase, because it was a huge part of why I liked her.
Oh,
she had been so repressed when she was first turned. She became like an insolent child and a huge pain in the ass to all of those around her, which, as somebody who was once a teenage girl,
You were a teenage... Never.
Never. So just like, I felt that. I never went like, obviously I never went that far. I was not that brave. But
I know.
Like, I felt that sort of desire to like, to want to not be what it is that your parents wanted you to be.
Yeah, I get that.
She started swearing and drinking and flirting with people and wearing whatever clothes she wanted, and just loving the fact that no one could really tell her no anymore, which reminds me of those like kids who go to college and all of a sudden like aren't living in their parents' house anymore, and so they start drinking and partying a lot, and they're just like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever, like I can have ice cream for breakfast, and then you start getting like tummy aches and you're just like, oh, maybe there's a reason why my parents didn't want me to do these things. So I think everyone can identify.
I love sweet food for breakfast.
Yeah, it's great.
Cake all the time. Why do we think crepes like and waffles were invented?
It's a treat. It's delicious.
Yeah.
But it didn't last too long, which was good, because that can like get annoying. Like, it was like a couple episodes, and then she sort of started turning into like more of a nuanced character than just like bratty girl who finally has freedom.
Yeah.
Then once her and Hoyt start having troubles and eventually break up, she goes through a more exploration phase where she is actually able to discover herself. She kind of, it's not just in the usual teen rebellion way, but in actual adult ways where she starts learning about who she is as a person, about who she wants to be. One of the darkest moments in Jessica's story is in season 6, when she loses control and kills 3 of the 4 half-fairy daughters of Andy Belfleur. the sheriff. Her and Bill had tricked them into coming to Bill's house for a while to try and synthesize their fairy blood so that they can capture its capabilities and use it to, like, help vampire kind. But when they try to leave, Jessica tries to stop them and ends up eating them because she's never really been around that much fairy blood before, and it kind of drives vampires a little bit crazy. One of them survives, and for the rest of the show, Jessica takes it upon herself to make up for her horrible mistake and to protect the one that survived, named Adeline. She beats herself up about it a lot, and it takes a blunt and honest reality check from Lafayette to snap her out of the self-destructive shame spiral she's in. Because she goes down like a really dark path where she's not eating, and she's staying late, and she's wearing herself out because she just feels so guilty throughout season 7, and she just wants to protect this little fairy girl. And at this time she has a vampire boyfriend that she actually met in the vampire concentration camp.
She was in it too?
Pretty much all the characters ended up in it.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And in it, actually, the two of them, because there were trials where they wanted to see how vampires had sex. And so they were like, Jessica and this guy should have sex. And then this guy actually refused. He's like, if you don't want to do this, he's like, I don't care about, like, people watching, but if you don't want to do this, I'm not going to do this because, like, that's not consent. And, like, he was a good guy. They just weren't meant to be together.
That, but, sir.
And, like, that is under, like, threat of, like, death by sun. Like,
yeah. Good for you, sir.
He's an actual decent human being. But Jessica isn't ready for a relationship even after they're out. So she doesn't listen to him. She's not taking part in their relationship in the way that she should be. And he ends up being or Lafayette ends up being the one who feeds this guy because they need a clean human to feed from. And him and Lafayette start, like, talking, and they bond a lot about, like, their common interests and things. And then they kind of maybe hook up a little bit, maybe before he breaks up with Jessica, and maybe Jessica finds them and is like, oh, what was me? And then Lafayette comes in and is like, bitch, like, you haven't fucking talked to him. Like, you don't know anything about him. And she's like, no, like, he's straight. And it's like, did you ever ask him? Like, do you even know your boyfriend's, like, sexual preferences? Like,
favorite color.
And she was kind of like, oh shit, like, I guess I have been really selfish, and I'm glad that you two have, like, found each other, kind of thing.
Okay.
And so it all worked out fine, because Lafayette was just like, I'm having enough of this white chick's fucking emotional problems, and he comes in and, like, bitch slaps her with words. And she needed it, and it was a great scene.
It's nice. Can I just, on a tiny note, say how fucking sexy it is, that consent, you know? Like, when anyone is just like, oh, asking you if something's okay, asking you if you are cool and want to do something, and not, like, manipulating you into being like, oh, like, do you want this? Like, I feel like you do. I know you do, but do you want it? Like, that's manipulating to receive what you think is consent. When someone says, would you like to do this thing? Are you fine with it? Whatever it is in life, it could be a fucking handshake.
Yes.
Like consent is sexy.
Yes. There's actually a really cute moment, kind of wrapped in horror. After this thing that happens with Jessica and Lafayette, her and Jason kind of hook up again. While Jason has a vampire girlfriend who is very old and very possessive, and Jason has been feeling some misgivings about how much this woman is controlling him, basically. She finds out, and in order to get back at him and Jessica, this vampire lady kidnaps Adeline and her boyfriend, her little boyfriend. And Adeline's, like, 16, like very young. But she's like, she kidnaps them under the guise of like, oh, like, you guys want to be alone? Because like they're sneaking out of the house, like, and that's not safe for Adeline because she's a fairy and so she'll be eaten. But she's like, oh, like, you know me, why don't you come over to my house where you can have privacy? And then there's this really cute moment because like this lady has like a weird, like, crazy ancient like sex dungeon, which is wild. And there's all these like weird toys, and so then these two kids who like don't know anything have all these toys spread out in the bed, and they have no idea how any of them works, and they're both trying to like neither of them want to use them.
But they're like, what are they? Because
neither of them have had sex yet, but like Adeline thinks that he's had sex before, and so she's nervous, and so she doesn't want to seem like she doesn't know anything, but then she accidentally reads his mind, and he's like, oh my god, I don't know what any of this is. And he's panicking. She's like, oh my god, thank god you're panicking too. And like it's just this really cute
nice
like moment of like
nice dig it
of like teen awkwardness, which for a show that has like so much sex, it was really nice to see like this almost like levity and like honesty in the way that they handled like an actual underage like sexual encounter without like sexualizing it, because it was like it wasn't filmed in a way that it's like, oh, this is sexy. It's like, no, these are two kids fumbling around not sure what to do. And it was funny and it was adorable, and the boy was super cute about it. He was just like, oh no, thank god, like I don't want to do that either.
Oh,
and they were so adorable.
Okay.
But bad things happen, and Jessica and Jason show up to try and save these kids. And then they all get kind of taken hostage. And lo and behold, Hoyt has returned to Bontemps. Hoyt has returned to Bontemps because his mother died earlier in the season, and so he's come back for the
funeral.
She's a racist bitch. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
It's sad for Hoyt, but I'm not sad that she's dead. Nobody likes Mrs. Fortenberry.
Hear that, my little girl? We're not sad when really mean, racist fictional characters die.
Yes. So Hoyt is back in Bontemps, and he is trying to like track down Jason. And so he ends up following them to this house, and he comes down and he sees like obviously people are fucking like kidnapped and like chained up, and he shoots this lady and he fucking kills her and saves everybody. So Hoyt comes in out of nowhere. Jessica doesn't know he's back in town. Jason does, but Jessica doesn't. And so like she's sitting there like horrified, thinking she's gonna be tortured and like all these horrible things, and then from the stairwell comes her knight in shining armor who has like, he's kind of rugged, like kind of dirtied up a little bit from his time on like an oil rig or something.
He was doing
like, he was very clean cut and like always like good like religious like church boy. And then he comes back and he's kind of like, what is it, grimes up good?
Grimes up? Is that a term?
Yeah, somebody had said that it's like the opposite of like, oh, he cleans up well. It's like he grimes up good when you think of the biggest example is Henry Cavill, because he looks hotter when he's like dirtier.
See, I thought of Wolverine. I thought of Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, like Hugh Jackman. Like there's a lot of guys who look better when they kind of where they look good when they're a little beat up or like dirty or whatever.
Hugh Jackman, you look great as is, but I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Nice. Okay.
So he kind of shows up, and Jessica's just like,
good.
like, he cries up good. And so he saves her. And then there's like a little bit of issues because like he's got a girlfriend, but he doesn't really like. They want different things in life. Like he doesn't want to have kids. His girlfriend really wants to have kids. So he kind of comes back, and he's just like, once again, he is struck by this like.
By Jessica.
Love of Jessica. Like he cannot like stay away from her. Like they are meant to be together. They are soulmates. And so he ends up breaking up with his fiance or whatever. He's like, no, like I need to find out like what this is. And Jessica ends up telling him the story of them. She tells them without any lies, without any hiding things. And she's like, yeah, like, and then they end up getting back together. Because he's like, yeah, like, clearly we have something, like, there's a connection here, and they both grew as people. Like, he had put her on a pedestal as well, right? Like, he had a lot of these ideas of who she was as a person, and now they can start from a point where they are both equals, where she knows who she is and he knows who she is, and vice versa. Which is very sweet. And even before she tells him any of this, so like after he saves her, he goes to the blood bank because he knows that Bill is sick and he knows that Bill needs clean blood, and he's like, well, I'm not positive for Hep B, so he goes to the blood bank and gets his blood drawn so that he can bring Bill food, just like bringing a sick person's soup, just out of the kindness of his fucking heart. And like he shows up and he's like, hey, like, Jessica, I know that like Vampire Bill, because he always calls him Vampire Bill, which is just the cutest shit. Hey, Vampire Bill. He's like, I know Vampire Bill's sick, so I went and I got this for him. And it's like,
it's like freaking hot chicken noodle soup. Here's my blood.
Here's my blood. Hope he likes it. Like,
I'm O. My blood type is O.
It's so cute.
It's okay.
So he's just like, he's clearly like still like a very sweet boy. And then as Bill's illness progresses, he wants to die, but he wants to see Jessica get married. And so Jessica and Hoyt get married without having dated anymore. But like, it's just like, you know what? Fuck it. If we want to get a divorce later, like if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. They get married, and Bill walks her down the aisle, and it's so fucking cute.
I'm just pretending this is a different Bill. Like, just knowing that Bill's a dick, like, I'm just pretending
Bill's
this is like a different Bill.
Bill is contains multitudes because he is such an asshole, but like he also, in his relationship with Jessica, that I think is where you see his goodness the most, with how much he cares for her and how much he wants her to be okay no matter what. And yeah, like her little wedding, and it's all like kind of thrown together, and all the other like ladies, like Sookie finds her dress and somebody comes over and does her hair, and they do this beautiful little impromptu wedding ceremony, and it's so cute. And Hoyt's just like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yes.
And he's on board. And everybody's on board. So that's like Jessica's story. It's like they get like the happiest happily ever after that the show gives us. They're still together in that like jump to the end of the show. It's very cute. It's very sweet. I love their relationship. I love Jessica. In this very adult show, I personally liked having Jessica because on a more emotional level at the beginning, I could understand her the most because she is 17 and she's this very young character around a bunch of like more adult characters that like I was, I think 14 when I started watching the show. So it's like I was able to connect with her character more. She was going through such a time of transition already, and then was changed into a vampire, further complicating the already overwhelming problems of a 17-year-old, which, I mean, sometimes as a young person going through puberty and all of that, it can feel like just everything is going on. It's like, I'm a vampire, I'm a fucking werewolf, like all of these things. It's like,
I'm an alien.
It's a blown up metaphor for change.
Yes.
Not to mention, the actress is stunning, and I definitely didn't realize it at the time, but I definitely had a crush on Jessica because I was still denying my sexuality. So I was like watching it back, I was like, God, Jessica's so pretty. like, it's like, oh, she's like, so wow. Pretty. And then at one point she kind of like starts wearing like more goth clothes, and it's just like, oh no. Like goth girls.
Goth girls.
She's loyal most of the time. and kind, and she makes plenty of mistakes, but finds a way to come back from them through hard work and determination and self-introspection. She grows and changes so much, and I am just glad that she found her happiness. Yay. So that's why I love Jessica and Tara. What are you excited about, Fonda?
Well, I mean, I am excited because it is the holiday time of year is coming, and with that comes a lot of seasonal baking shows. And I don't know about any listeners or you, Alison, but something about a seasonal baking show just makes me happy.
It's just nice.
It's just so nice. Dear listeners, I highly recommend the Great Canadian Baking Show. In general,
So wholesome.
It's so wholesome. But they have, like, within the seasons, like a holiday one where you, like, do things for the holidays. And those ones just happen to be my favorite because everyone's just, like, reminiscing, and it's just so good. I am excited to be done. When the school year is over, I get a 2-week holiday break. I feel very privileged to have that, and I will be spending it watching holiday baking shows.
Nice.
Because I need the wholesomeness to just keep me going.
Yes.
Because, don't know if anyone else knows, BC had a very terrible flood. And there's a lot of people that are really in a not good place. And if there's anything I could quickly plug is if you are able to, please send some donations to Red Cross Canada, because it will help a lot of people that got displaced by the terrible flooding. And it's fucking cold because it is, we're up north in BC, and the weather's just gonna get worse. So I would say it would make me happy if you did that.
Yes. Yeah, very happy.
You can find us wherever podcasts can be found. Please, would be nice if you could rate, review, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow us on Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Wench Bench Pod. And if you want to reach out, please send us an email at wenchbenchpod@gmail.com. All of the art for the Wench Bench was designed by the wonderful Tessa Joyce Riecken. You can find her on Twitter and Instagram at Werevile. Thank you for listening. And we will talk to you soon.
Bye.
I really needed to end our show on a high note because
I tried.
I had a lot of no's. I had so many no's.
I tried my best.
You did.
No.
No, what?
No.
He's doing it because apparently all he hears from the office is me saying no.
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 Okay.
While Alison's gone, I'm going to do some little story time with Fonda. So, my dog isn't feeling very good today, which is why we're doing remote, because my wonderful significant other was looking after her, and he deserves to have a break between work, especially because he works from home. So I'm here, and she's on the bed right beside me, and she looks incredibly cute and sleepy, and I just want to give a love letter to my dog. My peanut, I love you so much. Your eyes are so brown and your tail is so fluffy. Your toe beans are so small, and your ears are so bouncy. I love you to the moon and back, and I will always be here for you. Please, oh please, oh please, just don't eat my shoes. And that is my poem to my dog. You should follow her on Live Laugh Son, laiv.laugh.san at instagram.com.